Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, welcome to another market open stream. It is Friday, so happy Friday. Today we got to talk about, you know what? We're halfway through the month already. So, let's prepare. Let's prepare for September and how a huge breakout could be coming. So, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's happening today and go from there. All right, let's do it, guys. Welcome. Starting out today a little more green than last night, which is good. We are in recovery. Bitcoin is at 118.4, roughly around the same as yesterday. We're still waiting to get back to that all-time high. ETH is coming up in a big way, 4,600. Sol is moving at 193. We are definitely making big moves back to just a few days ago, right? Obviously, if you guys watch my videos from yesterday, the reason why we came down was a couple reasons. One, bad inflation report. Two, market makers, right? Regardless, we are on our way back up. And today, the U.S. market looks like in the green, as though NASDAQ is in the red. We were waiting for a couple things. One thing did come out, which is retail sales, and actually showed retail sales being quite strong, which is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Good thing, obviously, is because people aren't struggling as much as anticipated, I guess. But it's also bad because this means it's less ammunition for the Fed to give a greater cut in September. So if you look at the Fed Watch tool, we are, I mean, it's not bad. 92.6% chance for a rate cut, but I'm still hoping for a percentage to show up that indicates we may get a 50 basis point cut. One hasn't appeared yet, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, what else is happening today? Trump and Putin will be talking in Alaska today, and they're going to try to work out some kind of deal for the war to end. If somehow this couldn't happen, if the war could be stopped through this talk, markets will do really, really well. But there are people that are afraid that there will be concessions made to Russia in order to make things happen. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to be promised, what's not going to be promised, what else is going to be talked about, or if this is even going to really do anything. But this is going to happen. And this is the first time, I read somewhere, it's like the first time Putin has been in the U.S. or something like that. It's pretty big. Pretty big deal. And I guess that this is also rubbing, if you think about it, it's rubbing like salt and wounds in a little bit because of the fact that they're meeting in Alaska. And we all know that the U.S. bought Alaska for like next to nothing from Russia. I don't know why. I don't know if that's the reason why they picked that location, or or it's just closer to Russia. I don't know. They could have picked anywhere. They could have picked Hawaii or something, but they picked Alaska. Anyways, moving on. Something else that happened yesterday was we closed that gap. That gap was between 117 and 118, somewhere around there. So we did close that. This phenomenon closing CME gaps, 90 plus %, but it doesn't always fill all the time, and certainly not right away, right? But we do have this phenomenon that always seems to happen, and we did close it. So one less gap we have to worry about. All right. Now, moving on, let's see. Let's talk about some inflows here. Bitcoin inflow, pretty good. You would figure yesterday would be bad, right? Because we came down. And with some ETFs, that was the case. You see Fidelity, ARK, and others had massive outflows. But you also had massive inflow with BlackRock's ETF. So overall net positive 230 million. This is despite yesterday, remember, falling from 124 down to 117. BlackRock and others who bought BlackRock's ETF definitely likes buying the dip. There's no other way to explain it. They saw opportunity and then they pounced on it and they bought more. So that's good. And Ethereum's inflow still absolutely fantastic. BlackRock is taking in $500 million like almost every single day. And yesterday was 640 million. Greater than Bitcoin's. This is the reason why ETH has been so darn strong, because of all the inflows recently. All right. Outside of inflows, got a couple of things to look at. Yesterday also, there was some FUD about Scott Benson's comments about how America's not going to be acquiring more Bitcoin. Then he clarified, and Senator Loomis also clarified, that basically it's still the same mission. It's not like the U.S. gave up. It's just that the mission has always been to keep what we have and find budget-neutral ways of adding Bitcoin, and that's still the case. They're just not going to spend money to buy Bitcoin, but if there's ways to add Bitcoin without costing taxpayer money, they're going to do so, but they just haven't found ways to do that yet. Doesn't mean that they're going to stop or give up on Bitcoin by any means. So that's all it is. There was a little FUD yesterday, and that's all. That's all it is, right? Let's see. Strategy and MicroStrategy could be included in S&P 500 as early as next month. That would be good. Coinbase was already added. S&P 500, I mean, being added at S&P 500 is a big deal because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of funds out there. And this would automatically mean that a lot of them automatically add strategy within. And strategy is like one of the biggest, playbooks, I guess, for companies, sovereign funds, and ETFs for Bitcoin exposure, right? For whatever reason, there are still some people or companies and funds that just don't feel comfortable holding Bitcoin, or they can't for some reason. So almost the next best thing is to just load up on strategy. And there are a lot of foreign sovereign funds that actually do that as well. And they have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of strategy shares. So anyways, this being added, if they get added to S&P 500, it's not guaranteed, but there's a really good chance. And if that happens, it's really good. Really good for strategy. It's going to give them a boost. And sailors going to have even more money to buy more Bitcoin with. Let's see. A Paris-based IoT firm just bought more Bitcoin. Now they have 3,100 Bitcoin. So, I mean, the buying continues, right? Overall, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. Bitcoin is there's more Bitcoin being bought than produced. That's for sure. And again, if you just go by supply and demand, you know that the price is going up. Here's some mysterious whale. Yesterday, I think I covered a mysterious whale buying like $600 million worth of Bitcoin. Today, we have another whale that bought almost $800 million worth of Bitcoin. 800 million. It's happening all the time, right? And you just, again, you do the math, supply and demand. There's way more demand than supply, and demand only increases from here on out. So Bitcoin is the one that you definitely want to hold as long as possible. I know a lot of people say you never sell your Bitcoin, you hold it forever, right? That's if you can. At some point, I'm sure most people will take profits, but The people that hold the longest makes the most. It's really that simple when it comes to Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay, so last few things about Bitcoin. We are definitely still in the uptrend, right? Obviously, we just broke 124 a couple days ago. And, you know, that next leg up could bring us, I've seen estimates, 135 all the way up to 150s. This one is actually indicating our next leg up is going to stop around 168. So who knows? Who knows? OTC market is drying up. Demand keeps on going up. More and more Bitcoin is being removed from supply. And we got a lot of things coming in September. So who's to say? That may be the next stop for us. And that would be absolutely fantastic. We'll see. We'll see. And lastly, yeah, Bitcoin is still tracking that global M2 money supply. So the liquidity is there. And you can see Bitcoin's chart in green. We tend to follow that money supply like almost perfectly. And if that's the case and the trend continues, we will definitely be going up in the near future. All right. Outside of Bitcoin, what about the entire crypto space? Well, we know that's been happening. We know the entire crypto sector has been going up. We broke 4 trillion for the first time. And of course, ETH is very strong right now, but now we're seeing Sol get really strong and many others start to get strong. And that's why this chart is showing that we're getting a bearish MACD cross for Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, that's right. This is not a bearish chart by any means for Bitcoin or for anything. But this is showing that dominance has fallen below 60%. It broke through this trend line. And the MACD is turning red. The last time this happened was in 2020. And you could see how fast and how far Bitcoin dominance dropped. Went all the way down to like 39%. And that's when the alts rallied hard. Not only that, Bitcoin still went up. You know, Bitcoin still went up to 69,000 in 2021. But, you know, we saw ETH go up to 4,800. We saw Sol go up to 200 something. We saw a lot of alts explode, right? We're kind of seeing the same thing now, the beginnings of it. And this is what I've been saying. We're definitely in altcoin season, but at the very beginning of it. We're not in the end or middle. And if this is the case, get ready. It's going to be really, really, really exciting. Coinbase says September can ignite massive altcoin surge. Yeah, again, it all aligns, right? It's all aligning. Stablecoin inflow into Binance, 1.82 billion. And that's a large inflow. That's a large inflow. And guess why we have inflow of stablecoins? Well, it's probably because people want to buy something with it. They're not just storing there for nothing. Again, precursor to that huge breakout, that huge pump coming in September. Quite possibly the money is being loaded up. That's what it looks like. And you know what else is coming? We got a lot of spot ETFs also. Invesco now has a Sol ETF filing. Sol has like probably eight different fund managers waiting to launch their ETF. And we got many others that are launching as well. So these are all coming September, October timeframe, right? And it's aligning up. October tends to be the breakout month, but this time around, maybe it's September because of that rate cut. Everything is looking like it's lining up. And altcoin season have definitely started. And speaking of ETH, besides the massive inflow, but you're also getting massive outflow on the exchanges. So before I used to show a lot of Bitcoin exchange reserves. Now I'm showing this Ethereum exchange reserve. And you can see we have gone down and down and down and down and down. So obviously Ethereum doesn't have a hard cap in terms of supply like Bitcoin. But in cases where there's just more demand than supply, you're still going to see reserve go down, and of course you're going to see the price go upwards, and that's what we're seeing right now. It is very, very, very close to breaking all-time high, something that we haven't seen since 2021, 4 years ago. All right, that's pretty much it. Let's see, today, still kind of mixed. Hoping it turns more green. That bullish company, they didn't rename it yet. The bullish company is still outflowing, or selling off, I should say. Had a really good debut, still selling off. Let's see, Circle's up a little bit. MicroStrategy and Coinbase down a little bit today. I guess people are waiting to see what comes from this this Trump talk or discussion with Putin. I don't know if that's the reason, but yeah. So Bitcoin came down a little bit from 20 minutes ago from market open, but things are still, a lot of things are still looking green today. Hype is actually doing really well, up 5% today. ADA is up. Percent AVAX is up a couple percent. ETH is still pretty darn strong at 45.64. Let's see what happens later today. All right, let's do some Q&A. Let's see. By the way, before I answer any questions, I find it, I've been binge watching for the last 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, the show Snowfall on FX, which you can find on Disney and Hulu. Man, I was really addicted to that show. The last season was awesome. Except the finale. I hated the finale. I understand why they did what they did to conclude the show, but I hated it. I hated it. Franklin was going to be, it is too smart. The character of Franklin is too smart to let himself become like that. I'm just going to say it like that. Anyways, I highly recommend the show. 6 seasons. To anyone that's looking for a good show. It's an old show. It concluded back in 2023, but it's a great show. It's a great show. I love shows of characters that are like kind of like the best of what they do, or because they're a genius in some way, or something like that. And he's one of them. Just wanted to share that because I don't watch new shows very often. Jazneo asks, what price can ADA be at the end of the bull run? $4 or $5? Maybe even higher? George, your opinion on older manual advantages? Aston Martins? They're cheap for a reason. Because you don't want to be paying the repair bills. So unfortunately that's the case. If you look at exotics that are like pretty cheap, you know, pretty affordable. Cars that used to be $250,000, $300,000 now for under $100,000. There's a reason for that. So I would skip. It's really hard for long-running shows to have a really great ending. It's really, really hard. I don't know what it is with show writers. They can write the best shows that can continue forever, but when it comes time to end it, most shows, I would say, do not end well. Game of Thrones, an example. Game of Thrones ending was just absolutely horrific. Well, like the worst ending you could possibly have. And many others too. There's just bad endings. Why don't you get a Rolex? Can't take you serious. Who says? Well, first of all, how do you even know if I have one or I don't? You're looking at my face. And second of all, I don't know if you're joking, because I do have a couple of Rolexes. It's just a weird thing to say, Sar, darts, deerts. Snowfall's a really good show. I highly recommend anyone that has some free time or wants to start a new show to watch it. And it's 6 seasons, so it's gonna take you a while to go through it. I got really addicted, so I was watching like 6 to 8 episodes a day. Let's see. Any new portfolios in here since yesterday? Actually, a lot got added since yesterday. Natalie joined. Natalie has a huge portfolio. 35. Let's just say 35% Bitcoin, not bad. 20% ETH, 12% Sol, 7% Sui. You know, going all the way up from Doge above, it's all great. And then she has a lot of other random memes or RWA plays or whatever. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. Because, you know, they're just a few percentages or lower percentages. I mean, I think that looks pretty good. Here's someone really close to 50% in Bitcoin. That's good. 100% staked Solana and ETH for some yield. That's not bad. That's like almost 18%. And then you had Sui in there, Chainlink, XRP, Avalanche, Cardano, VeChain, Polygon, Cosmos. I mean, the top 5 right there is already, what, 70, 80%? And the remaining, Cardano, Avalanche staked. Good idea. VeChain, you can't stake. You automatically get emission. Cosmos and Polygon, I just don't know if they're going to come back this cycle. I really don't. VeChain, I don't know either. They're still making moves, but ones that people don't really want to see. So there's a chance they could come back. They're still very big. Hedera, American base, could do well. That's not a bad portfolio. It's pretty good. This person has 100% in Chainlink. I would recommend diversifying if you have 100% in Chainlink. It's not a bad project. It's just 100% is. Oh man. Ooh. That's a new M3 right there. You know what? That color, that color can only work on like BMWs, I feel like. You can't have that color in any other car. And the new nose design of the M3s, M4s, I really hated it when they debuted. Now it's starting to grow on me, but if you get this, you can't put a front license plate. I've seen pictures where you put that front license plate, a European one or American one, in the middle, and it completely ruins the look. If you're going to get this new nose design, please do not put a front license plate. Yeah, that's pretty nice. What is it called? Isle Green? Yeah, that only works on BMWs for some reason. No other car has that. Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to put the plate in the US too, but I don't have a front license plate on any of my cars. Usually cops won't pull you over for that. If they pull you over for speeding or something, then they can say, oh, you don't have a front license plate, so that's additional fine. But usually cops are too lazy to just pull you over for missing a front license plate. Vegas Chris, don't at me. I've said that before. If you've been a regular, you know that I've always said it irritates me when people at CryptosRUs, so don't do it. Tobias, World Liberty Financial is an old project, man. I've covered it many times. It's not owned by the Trump family at all. They promoted it. They got a lot of the profits. They got a lot of the tokens, but that's not their project. Do you think Solana will outpace Ethereum after ETF spot is approved? I don't know. I know there's a ton of interest in Sol. We know that. The metrics also dictate that. Metrics on Sol is sky high, even now. So, and there are companies that are already stacking Sol for their treasuries. So after spot ETFs come out, we could see volume explode, maybe even higher than Ethereum. It's a possibility. The next stop for Sol has to be around this 219. It was pretty close. It was 210. But next stop is 219. And then after that, like the 240s, 260s, and beyond. Tobias, stop spamming. I'm not going to be looking at glue. Stop spamming every 10 seconds. George, I still hold your NFT. Any plans for those? Yes. You will get airdrops of my meme coin when it comes out. NFT holders will get probably the largest distribution. Crypto daddies. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Will NFTs ever come back? That's a good question. I don't know. There are still like pudgy penguins, I guess that's kind of popular. I don't hear anyone talk about anything else. I don't even know if cyberpunks or bored apes. I'm sure they're still worth something, but I don't hear anyone talking about them. But hey, when the money's flowing in altcoin season, who knows? It might come back. Has this cycle been a disappointment? No, unless you're not a Bitcoin holder. How can it be a disappointment when we are basically, what, 80% higher with Bitcoin versus last year, or last cycle? So if you follow the 50-25-25 rule, and most people don't, but if you did, or you have even higher than 50% in Bitcoin, it can't be a disappointment. We're at 117, 118 versus a high of 69,000 in the last cycle. So you do the math. And the cycle is not over. Most of the gains from altcoin season comes within the last 2 to 4 weeks of the 4-year cycle. Go look at it. Most of the huge explosive gains comes like 2 to 4 weeks. So the remaining time is just like you slowly recover up from the bottom. So that's just how it is. Did I ever drive a Stinger GT? No. Wait, maybe I did a long time ago, but not recently. Let's see Bitcoin dominance. See, I made this comment yesterday and I'll say it again, right? Whenever normally you have weakness in a market, Bitcoin dominance always goes up because people sell off the alts, they get scared to go back to Bitcoin. Look at what's happening right now. Even with some weakness from yesterday and today, the dominance is still going down. That tells you that we are definitely in altcoin season. Because this normally, for basically 3.5 years, we haven't seen this. We see Bitcoin dominance skyrocket during any kind of correction, weakness, market manipulation, liquidity, events, or whatever, right? But now Bitcoin dominance is still coming down no matter what. Tells you something. Crypto moves, Google banning self-custody wallets. I doubt it. I'll just leave it at that. Let's see, US. It's coming up. Coinbase is coming up. MicroStrategy is coming up. So we're going to recover, hopefully. They really did say on X they banned wallets, but then came back and said, never mind, it's not banned. You know, just don't worry about it, okay? It's not going to happen. Here's why. look at what's been happening in the US with all the favorable crypto regulations. And basically nothing is deemed a security anymore. So no company, Google or Apple, is going to be going against that trend. They're not going to be bearish against crypto. They're not going to be bearish against self-custody wallets. They're not going to be bearish against payment networks or exchanges or brokers. They're all going to turn favorable because they want to make money. They were all bearish or somewhat bearish before because they were afraid that they were going to get sued by the SEC. Right now it's open season. No one's getting sued for anything. So basically there's no worry. They're not going to be doing anything stupid. They're not going to be banning crypto ads or banning wallets or banning exchanges or banning meme coins. None of it is going to be happening. In fact, they're opening up more. They're going to add more. And it's probably going to get to some point where it's too open season and there's too many things and then something bad's going to happen and then they have to like tighten up again. But we're in one of those stages right now where I feel like anything goes and you're not going to get in trouble for it. And all the big companies, tech companies and banks and everyone is going to just go with the flow. Dirk says, why are Americans selling almost every day at opening of Wall Street while the West buys? You know, some of it is just, you know what, they have their sell orders ready or something like that. And then later on, they decide, okay, that was a bad idea. I need to buy back. You know, Wall Street has an opening and closing, unlike crypto, which is 24/7. So who knows what they have to do. Maybe they have to do it due to regulations, you know. They have to define certain things. I'm not from that world, so I can't say. But I do know Wall Street is very reactionary. You know, you would think they're more forward thinking, but a lot of times, you know, some bad economic data or some data comes out and then all of a sudden they digest it and then they're like, okay, now we need to sell. And then sometimes it takes like hours afterwards. It's not immediate. They're like looking at each other and they're like, should we sell or should we not sell? You know, it's like they're very reactionary. Good. Hood is coming back up. I mentioned about Hood bouncing off this trend line. Coinbase getting stronger. Looks like it wants to go green today. And ETH has just turned green. Let's make a Clash Royale clan. You know, I was thinking about that, and then I decided I'm going to quit the game. I get too much rage over it. Just way too much. It's nice to watch pros play because they know what the hell they're doing. But, like, I've gotten to a level where I can't level anymore. I can't get more trophies. So it's like, yeah, I'd rather just not rage all the time because of it. That game makes me indescribably angry for whatever reason. I told you, yeah, because it's so frustrating. Because you put it your all, and then you change your deck, thinking that it's gotten better, and then you play someone else that plays a different style, and it makes you change your deck again. It's like you can't have a perfect deck. You know, that's not like anything else out there. And the game, I think, is smart enough to keep pitting you against people that have a better deck or a better record against some of the guys that you have on your deck. So you're always pitted against people that are better than you, even though you guys have the same trophies. Josh is asking, what's worse, being liquidated or losing streak in Clash Royale? I'm going to be honest, losing streak in Clash Royale. Clash Royale has such an effect on me that, you know, during like 2 days ago when everything's pumping, I was in a horrible mood the whole day because I kept losing at Clash Royale. Like, I didn't even care about all the gains. That's how bad it was. That's why I'm like, I need to stop that game. It's affecting me way too much. All right, guys, I'll let you guys go. Happy Friday. Overall today, we got a slight recovery. Maybe later today we'll have a bigger recovery. But we are definitely in recovery mode. We definitely made a lot of gains the last few weeks. So do not become discouraged. And we will get more gains next month. And we got still a couple weeks left. I think the rest of this month will be good. Next month, October and beyond, will be even better. All right, guys. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel. Have a good rest of your Friday. And I'll see you guys later. All right?